Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome to the course of Development Planning and Administration, MPA 403. Today's lecture number 19. And I'm your facilitator, Professor Dr. Muhammad Majid Mahmood Bagram. So before we move on to our today's topic of discussion, let's have a brief review of our previous discussions. Okay, in our previous lecture, we have talked about delegation. What is delegation, why we delegate, and what are the advantages and disadvantages, what are the advantages of good delegation and what are the disadvantages of poor delegation, and what are the recommendations. So जब हम delegation की बात करते हैं तो definitely we are trying to improve the performance of individuals, we are trying to improve the performance of groups, and we are trying to improve the performance of our organization. Now delegation में what we do is we delegate our different tasks and different power and authority, decision making authority to our employees. So there are wonderful benefits of delegation जब हम बात करते हैं, और delegation के अंदर हमने देखा कि we can improve the motivation level of our employees, we can bring improvements in productivity of the organization, and we can beat and compete our competitors in the market. So these days we talk about globalization. We say that survival of the fittest, and that is only possible if we delegate. Because if you think that you can only perform this activity and none of the other person in your organization is competent enough to perform this certain task, you are highly mistaken. So you need to delegate in order to improve your own quality as well, in order to improve your own performance as well. Because if you are performing all activities by yourself, अगर आप कहते हैं कि सारा काम मैंने खुद ही करना है, तो definitely you will be short of time and one day you will be compromising on quality. So in order to do the best, in order to perform your best level, this is really very important that you must delegate. Now, what are the possible advantages to employees when we delegate? Number one thing is, their loyalty, increases with the organization. They become more confident because they know that organization is now trusting them and organization is giving them value. They feel more honored, and there are more chances that they unlock their potential, because every human being is unique. Every human being in the world has something wonderful in him or her. So why not unlock that potential? Why not bring out the best out of our people who are working with us in our organization? So in order to do that, delegation can help the organization. But on the other side, if you are not good in delegation, like for example, there are certain disadvantages of poor delegation. Like for example, if there is a mismatch, like for example, if a person is incompetent, or if a person has no desired skills and abilities and competencies, and if you delegate certain tasks to that person who is not competent enough, this will create problem to the organization. Okay, now we move on to our today's topic of discussion, and that is on organizational learning and organizational performance. So when we talk about development planning and administration, of course organizational learning and organizational performance is really very important, because when we develop our goals and objectives, and when we develop our strategies to achieve those goals and objectives, and when we are talking about our administrative functions, this is really prerequisite that we need to ensure that there is organizational learning and organizational performance, because when we develop our goals and objectives and we develop our strategies, and if we do not implement it well, if we are not moving towards a learning organization, if we are not moving towards enhanced performance, so this is not possible to exist in the market. So survival of the fittest thing जो हम बात करते हैं, so we can achieve our targets, we can achieve our goals and objectives with the help of organizational learning and organizational performance. Now, what is learning? In organizational development, learning is a characteristic of an adaptive organization. That is, an organization that is able to sense changes in signals from its environment, both internal and external, and adopt accordingly. A very interesting definition of learning. Now, it is basically an ability of the organization जो उन signals को sense करती है, उन changes को sense करती है जो within the organization वो receive कर रही है या from outside the organization वो sense कर रही है और उनको accordingly adopt कर रही है. Like for example, internal signals क्या हो सकते हैं कि you have a highly diversified workforce. जब आपकी highly diversified workforce है तो like what do you want? You want more creativity, more innovation. Or more creativity and more innovation के लिए, of course, you need to move towards learning. And then external, like for example, environment, like for example, your competitors, your customers, international competition, global village, things like that. So there are changes in the external environment. There are rapid changes. So when the organization, they sense those changes and they forecast, they predict, and then they adopt accordingly, that is called a learning organization. And learning organization, they keep on doing this thing. So it is not a one-time activity. It is an ongoing process. So learning is an ongoing process. So organizations who keep on learning, they give the most sustainable competitive advantage. And if they do not focus on ongoing learning, they may decline, their performance may decline, and it becomes really very difficult for them to survive in the market. Now, what is organizational learning? Argyris defines organizational learning as the process of detection and correction of errors. In his view, organizations learn through individuals acting as agents for them. Now, Argyris has given a wonderful definition of organizational learning. So it is a process of detection and correction of errors. Now, what do we mean by detection and correction of errors? सबसे पहले you need to detect, you need to identify कि what are the problem areas and how you do that. Like there are different methods. For example, when we talk about identification of poor performance, there are different standard methods organizations use to identify and detect the problems. And the first method is we use questionnaires. Organizations क्या करती हैं कि वो questionnaires अपने employees को देती हैं. Employees उन क्वेश्चनर्स में अपनी परफॉर्मेंस के बारे में अपना पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू देते हैं कि व्हाट आर देयर स्ट्रेंथ्स एंड व्हाट आर देयर वीकनेसेस, और वो तमाम जो क्वेश्चनर्स हैं वो तमाम ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में तमाम एम्प्लॉयज़ को दिए जाते हैं. वो उसको फिल करते हैं. उन क्वेश्चनर्स को फिल करने के बाद ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को वापस मिलते हैं क्वेश्चनर्स. उन क्वेश्चनर्स को मुख्तलिफ कंप्यूटर सॉफ्टवेयर्स हैं लाइक SPSS वगैरह सॉफ्टवेयर्स हैं जो पॉपुलर सॉफ्टवेयर्स हैं, उनमें उनको क्वेश्चनर्स को फीड इन किया जाता है और वहाँ से उनको एनालाइज किया जाता है और उन फाइंडिंग्स की बेसिस पे फिर करेक्टिव मेजर्स ली जाती हैं उन प्रॉब्लम्स को ओवरकम करने के लिए, मैनेज करने के लिए. There are other methods of identifying problems in organizations, like for example interviews. आप लोगों एम्प्लॉइज के साथ आप यू कैन हैव ए 1-to-1 इंटरव्यू, और यू कैन हैव ए आप एक ग्रुप के साथ भी इंटरव्यू कर सकते हैं. सो इट डिपेंड्स ऑन द सिचुएशन एंड सर्कमस्टांसेस. तो आप इंटरव्यू करते हैं, आप एम्प्लॉइज के साथ डिस्कस करते हैं, और आप रूट कॉजेज की तरफ मूव करते हैं कि एम्प्लॉय की अगर कोई परफॉर्मेंस है या कोई वो अपने टारगेट्स को अचीव नहीं कर रहा, तो व्हाट आर द रूट कॉजेज. जैसे हम कहते हैं कि पेट का दर्द इंपॉर्टेंट है या पेट के दर्द की वजह. ऑफ कोर्स द रूट कॉज, पेट के दर्द की वजह ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है. तो अगर आप सिर्फ पेट के दर्द को ट्रीट करेंगे और पेट के दर्द की वजह को ट्रीट नहीं करेंगे, तो इन द लॉन्ग रन वो जो पेट का दर्द है वो अल्लाह ना करे कि वो किसी खतरनाक डिजीज में कन्वर्ट हो सकता है. तो दिस इज रियली वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कि हम सिम्टम्स की बजाय रूट कॉजेज को एड्रेस करें, और इंटरव्यूज जो हैं वो ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस को हेल्प कर सकते हैं कि वो उन रूट कॉजेज को फोकस करें. सो दिस इज रियली वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट दैट यू नीड टू फोकस ऑन द रूट कॉजेज, दैट व्हाट आर द real reasons, what are the root causes of the poor performance of employees. And in interview situation, normally we get the answer in most cases. Another method is observation. So we are talking about how to detect the problems, and here we are talking about the performance problems of human resources. So observation. Like for example, you have given them questionnaires, you have taken interview, but if you are unable to detect what is the problem, so what you need to do is you need to observe. So when you observe, you find certain clues and you find certain, you make certain observations. Okay, fine. These are the reasons. These are the root causes of poor performance. So researchers, they recommend that we can use any of these methods of performance, in order to identify the performance problems, or we can use a combination of these methods. So you detect and then you move towards the correction of errors. You move towards the correction. You move towards how to manage these problems. So I strongly here believe that identifying the problem is really more important and more difficult to do, and how to manage that problem is not that much difficult. So जैसे कि आप डॉक्टर के पास जाते हैं और डॉक्टर आपको कहता है कि ओके फाइन, आप लैब टेस्ट करवा के लेके आए, आप लैब टेस्ट से करवा के लेके आते हैं, तो वो लैब टेस्ट रिपोर्ट्स को देख के डायग्नोज करता है और फिर आपके लिए मेडिसिन जो हैं वो सजेस्ट करता है, प्रिस्क्राइब करता है. सेम इज द केस है कि प्रॉब्लम आइडेंटिफाई होने के बाद उसको मेडिसिन जो है सजेस्ट करना, दैट इज नॉट that much challenging as compared to identification of real root cause of the problem. So Argyris says that organization learn through individuals acting as agents for them. और जब हम चेंज एजेंट्स की यहाँ पे बात कर रहे हैं तो चेंज एजेंट्स 3 तरह के हैं. ओके, वन इज द एग्जिस्टिंग एम्प्लॉइज, कि जो आपके ओल्ड एम्प्लॉइज हैं, जो आपके एग्जिस्टिंग एम्प्लॉइज हैं, जो पहले से उस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में काम कर रहे हैं, they are the change agents. Number 2 is new employees, जो आपकी new hirings हैं. तो आपके जो new hirings हैं, they are also the change agents because they bring in new ideas, and then we talk about outsourcing, or we talk about consultants. They are also called the change agents. So new employees, existing employees, and consultants, or we go for outsourcing. So these are the 3 possible change agents in any organization. Now when we get help and get input from these 3 type of change agents, the organizations, they move towards learning. Now another philosopher, Huber, clarifies that learning need not be conscious or intentional. Further, Learning does not always increase the learner's effectiveness or even potential effectiveness. Moreover, learning need not result in observable changes in behavior. Now, this is something we can call an extreme point of view. So, according to this philosopher, learning has it cannot ensure that after learning you will improve your performance, or you will improve your productivity, or you will improve your effectiveness. So, this is one point of view. Talking about organizational learning, Duncan and Weiss argue that individual learning occurs when people give a different response to the same stimulus. But organizational learning occurs when groups of people give the same response to different stimuli. Now you need to understand this, that individual learning and group learning. Now individual learning may, you have the same situation but there are different responses. Whereas in organizational learning, when groups of people they give the same response to different stimuli. So you need to make a difference. So here you see that there is individual learning has a different perspective and group learning has a different perspective. Now continuing our discussion on how organizations learn, Argyris and Shawn were the first to propose models that facilitate organizational learning. Argyris and Shawn, 1978, distinguish between single loop and double loop learning. So one is called single loop, the other is called double loop learning, according to Argyris and Shawn, 1978. So let us discuss these two types of learning one by one. In single loop learning, individuals, groups, or organizations modify their actions according to the difference between expected and obtained outcomes. So you have the expected you have certain expectations and you have the obtained outcomes. तो जो आपने obtain किया और जो आपकी expectation थी, उन दोनों का जो difference है, that is called single loop learning. So ऑर्गेनाइजेशन जो हैं उस सिंगल लूप लर्निंग के नतीजे में वो अपने मॉडिफाई करते हैं अपने एक्शंस को. लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल के इंडिविजुअल्स हैं या ग्रुप्स हैं, जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हैं, उनसे एक एक्सपेक्टेशंस हैं कि ऑर्गेनाइजेशन से हमारी एक ख़ास एक्सपेक्टेशन है, ग्रुप से हमारी एक ख़ास एक्सपेक्टेशन है, इंडिविजुअल से हमारी एक ख़ास एक्सपेक्टेशन है. तो जब हम बात करते हैं इंडिविजुअल ग्रुप्स और ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस की, तो देयर आर सर्टन एक्सपेक्टेशंस एंड देन उनके जो आउटकम्स हैं, जो रिजल्ट्स हैं, तो जो डिजायर्ड आपके जो ऑब्टेन्ड रिजल्ट्स हैं, तो जो आपने वाकई जो आउटकम आपने ऑब्टेन किया और जो आपकी एक्सपेक्टेशंस हैं, उसका जो डिफरेंस है, उसकी मदद से ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस, इंडिविजुअल्स एंड ग्रुप्स दे मॉडिफाई देयर नेक्स्ट एक्शंस कि नेक्स्ट टाइम हमने क्या करना है. तो दैट इज कॉल्ड सिंगल लूप लर्निंग. नाउ टॉकिंग अबाउट डबल लूप लर्निंग, in double loop learning, the entities, individual, groups or organization question the values, assumptions and policies that led to the actions in the first place. If they are able to view and modify those, then second order or double loop learning has taken place. Now it means that before you start something, before you implement something, you need to question, before you start something, before you start implementing. Like for example, values. Like what areas, like which areas organization is really giving more value and which areas organization is not giving that much value. So they question those values and then assumptions. Now those assumptions may be correct or may be faulty. So at the first place, you are challenging those values and assumptions, and then of course the rules and regulations and policies. So before you take any action, before you implement your values, assumptions and policies, you challenge those. So that is really very important. So, and then if they are able to view and modify those, so of course this is one of the expectations, that when you challenge the values, assumptions and policies, you may suggest certain recommendations. So if you bring in any modifications, any positive changes in the current values, assumptions and policies of the organization, then second order or double loop learning has taken place. Now, talking about types of learning, there are two types of learning: operant conditioning and social learning. Let us have a brief look at both of these types of learning. The first one is the operant conditioning, learning that takes place when the learner recognizes the connection between a behavior and its consequences. ये ऑपरेंट कंडीशनिंग में क्या होता है कि एक इंडिविजुअल है, एक एम्प्लॉई है, वो एक कनेक्शन जो है उसको रिकॉग्नाइज करता है कि अगर मेरा ये बिहेवियर होगा तो इसका ये एक कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस होंगे प्लस माइनस, अगर मेरा दूसरा बिहेवियर होगा तो उसके प्लस माइनस क्या कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस होंगे, और उसी बेसिस पे वो अपने एक्शंस को मॉडिफाई करता है, अपने बिहेवियर को मॉडिफाई करता है. तो डेफिनेटली लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल कि एम्प्लॉई, जैसे मैं यहाँ पे एग्जांपल देना चाहूँगा कि एम्प्लॉई जब ये देखता है कि मैंने बेस्ट एफर्ट्स पुट इन की हैं और ऑर्गेनाइजेशन जो है मुझे उसकी फाइनेंशियल और नॉन फाइनेंशियल रिवॉर्ड्स जो हैं उसके नतीजे में मुझे मिल रहे हैं एज ए रिजल्ट ऑफ माय बेस्ट एफर्ट्स, तो ऑफ कोर्स उस डायरेक्शन में एम्प्लॉय की एफर्ट्स फिर ज़्यादा बढ़ जाती हैं, वो अपनी परफॉर्मेंस को मज़ीद स्ट्रेंथन करता है और अपना एक बेस्ट पोटेंशियल को यूटिलाइज करने की कोशिश करता है, अपना बेस्ट पोटेंशियल जो है उसको बाहर लेके आता है. और यहाँ पे मैं कहना चाहूँगा कि एक एम्प्लॉय का एक डिस्क्रिशनरी बिहेवियर होता है. सो डिस्क्रिशनरी बिहेवियर में क्या है कि एम्प्लॉयज अपनी बेस्ट जो है उसका पोटेंशियल उसको बाहर लेके आ रहा है, और लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल उसकी कोशिश ये है एम्प्लॉय की कि वो अपने एम्प्लॉयर की एक्सपेक्टेशन को न सिर्फ मीट करे बल्कि एक्सीड करे, और एम्प्लॉयर की एक्सपेक्टेशन को एक्सीड करने के लिए डिस्क्रिशनरी बिहेवियर इज रिक्वायर्ड. और जब हम बात करते हैं ऑपरेंट कंडीशनिंग की, तो जब एम्प्लॉय ये रिकग्नाइज करेगा कि मेरी स्मार्ट जो एक्टिविटीज हैं, जो मेरी बेस्ट एफर्ट्स हैं, उसके रिजल्ट में आई एम गेटिंग द रिवॉर्ड फाइनेंशियल एंड नॉन फाइनेंशियल, तो डेफिनेटली द रिजल्ट इज जो एक डिस्क्रिशनरी बिहेवियर जो है उसका एक डेवलप होगा. ऑन द अदर साइड, इफ द एम्प्लॉय रिकग्नाइजेज दैट कि वट एवर आई डू, मैं जितनी भी मेहनत कर लूं, आई विल नॉट गेट द रिवॉर्ड, आई विल नॉट गेट एनी फाइनेंशियल रिवॉर्ड, आई विल नॉट गेट एनी नॉन फाइनेंशियल रिवॉर्ड, तो फिर डेफिनेटली एम्प्लॉय जो है उसका डिस्क्रिशनरी बिहेवियर नहीं आएगा, बल्कि उसकी मोटिवेशन लेवल जो है वो डिक्लाइन की तरफ चला जाएगा. तो जब मोटिवेशन लेवल डिक्लाइन की तरफ जाएगा तो डेफिनेटली ओवरऑल इंपैक्ट क्या होगा ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के ऊपर. सो ऑपरेंट कंडीशनिंग जो है यहाँ पे अप्लाई होगी कि एम्प्लॉय अपने बिहेवियर और उसके रिजल्ट में जो कॉन्सिक्वेंसेज हैं उसके दरमियान एक लिंक को देखता है, कनेक्शन को देखता है, और उसके जितने भी एक्शंस हैं दे आर डिपेंडेंट ऑन द कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस. द अदर टाइप ऑफ लर्निंग इज सोशल लर्निंग थ्योरी, a learning theory that takes into account the fact that thoughts and feelings influence learning. Necessary components include these three: vicarious learning, self-control and self-efficacy. So I always say one more thing, I want to add one more thing here, that problem is not a problem. Problem is not a problem. The way you see the problem is the real problem. So problem is not out there, the problem is in here. So if you think you can, and if you think you can't, you can't. So it all depends on your perception, it all depends on your thinking, it all depends on your thoughts, it all depends on your feelings. So if you have, you know, positive thoughts, positive thinking, positive feelings, that positively influences learning. And on the other side, for example, if somebody has negative thinking, negative thoughts, negative feelings, you know, that has a negative impact on learning. So when we talk about social learning theory, these are the three necessary components, and we will discuss these one by one. The first one is learning that occurs when one person, the learner, learns a behavior by watching another person, the model, perform the behavior. Now this is when you look, observe and copy. So this is like on the job training. So you watch your colleagues, you watch your juniors, you watch your, you know, observe your seniors. So you look and learn, you observe and learn. So whatever other are doing, you are watching, you are observing and you are learning. So it becomes a model. So you try to do the same thing what others are doing. So that is like you are following others. Learners can also learn from situations in which models get punished. Okay, so not only the positive side, you know, you are also observing, you know, your role models, that how they get punished and why they get punished. Like for example, आप जिसको as a role model follow कर रहे हैं, तो you see कि उसको किन चीज़ों का रिवॉर्ड दिया जा रहा है, किन चीज़ों पे, किन बातों पे, किन एक्शंस पे आपके रोल मॉडल को पनिश किया जा रहा है. You also learn from those situations. Role models can be positive or negative. Now this is very interesting. ज़रूरी नहीं है कि every employee is following the positive role models. Some people, I would say that there is a minority of people in organizations who follow that, you know, negative models as well. You know, so जैसे हमने शुरू में बात की कि it all depends on your perception, it all depends on your feelings. This is really very important. So you know, people having good attitude, they have good behavior. So it all depends the way you think, it all depends on your attitude. So employees having positive attitude, they have positive behavior. Employees having positive attitude and positive behavior, they focus on the positive role models. And on the other side, employees having negative attitude and negative behavior, they focus on the negative role models. So people follow the role models according to their attitude and behavior, and it is highly recommended that we should follow the positive role models, because that is bringing in improvement in the productivity of the organization, that is increasing the overall performance of the organization, and at the same time it is giving you comfort, and it is also good for your family as well. So when we talk about organizational objectives, when we talk about individual objectives, which is more important? Both are important. So they should be aligned with each other. There should be a balance of individual objectives and organizational objectives. तो जब हम दोनों को align करके चलेंगे, तो we should follow the positive role models. Now talking about self-control, self-discipline that allows a person to learn to perform a behavior even though there is no external pressure to do so. Now normally ये देखा गया कि आपके ऊपर कोई प्रेशर है या आपके ऊपर कोई चेक है, आपके ऊपर like आपको कहा गया है कि you will be held accountable, और कोई एक किस्म का प्रेशर आपको डाला गया या आपके ऊपर इम्पोज किया गया कोई रूल, तो people you know do accordingly जो उनसे डिज़ायर किया जा रहा है एम्प्लॉयर की तरफ से. बट सेल्फ कंट्रोल की जब हम बात करते हैं तो ये वो एम्प्लॉयज़ हैं जो विदाउट एनी प्रेशर, विदाउट किसी सोशल प्रेशर के, ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल प्रेशर के, या ये इनका एक अपनी एक उनका सेल्फ कंट्रोल है. सो दे हैव ए सेल्फ डिसिप्लिन. सेल्फ एफिकेसी, it means that a person's belief about his or her ability to perform a particular behavior successfully. Now this is all about your perception, how you believe, how much you trust your abilities. Okay, that also shows your confidence level, that what do you think about your strengths. So to perform a particular behavior successfully, so believe you should have believe in yourself. And people having a strong self-efficacy, they have a strong belief in themselves. They always believe that if we try our best, if we do our best, we can do anything. We can do anything good for the organization. The word impossible itself says that I am possible. So these are the type of people who believe that we can do this thing and we have the ability. So this positive attitude and behavior gives them a lot of motivation, and then they do it successfully. And now let's talk about the sources of self-efficacy: past performance and verbal persuasion. So when we talk about past performance and verbal persuasion, what is past performance? Like for example, कि आपका जो experience है, आपकी जो past performance है, उसमें like for example, आपकी क्या achievements हैं, आपकी क्या success है, आपके क्या failures हैं, how you have improve your performance in past. Now एक philosopher ने बहुत खूबसूरत बात की, try to minimize your previous mistakes. Try to minimize your previous mistakes and try to make new mistakes. Now what does it mean? It means that कि हमें अपनी previous mistakes को minimize करना है, overcome करना है, और नई mistakes करने का ये मतलब है कि you are trying to do something new. अगर कोई पर्सन ये कहता है कि मैंने आज तक कोई मिस्टेक नहीं की अपने ऑफिस में, किसी भी काम में मैंने मिस्टेक नहीं की, तो वन कैन से दैट कि उसने कभी कोई काम भी नहीं किया. गिरते हैं शहसवारी मैदान जंग में. सो जब आप काम करेंगे तो डेफिनेटली मिस्टेक्स भी होती हैं, इंटेंशनल अनइंटेंशनल मिस्टेक्स होती हैं. तो वो लोग ही एक्सपीरियंस्ड होते हैं, वही लोग ही बेहतर परफॉर्मर्स होते हैं जो अपनी मिस्टेक्स को रिपीट नहीं करते. और जो नई मिस्टेक्स करते हैं, मीनिंग दैट कि दे आर ट्राइंग न्यू वेज ऑफ वर्किंग, दे आर ट्राइंग न्यू मेथड्स ऑफ वर्किंग, दे आर ट्राइंग टू इंप्रूव देयर परफॉर्मेंस. सो पास्ट परफॉर्मेंस से आप जितना ज्यादा उसको लर्न करेंगे, उतना ही आपकी प्रेजेंट परफॉर्मेंस जो है वो स्ट्रांग होगी. वर्बल परसुएशन, कि आपकी जो ओरल है, आपकी जो रिटन कम्युनिकेशन है, वो कितनी स्ट्रांग है. सो यू डेवलप अ स्ट्रांग सेल्फ एफिकेसी विद द हेल्प ऑफ योर कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स. सो सिंपल एक बात देखी गई कि पीपल हु आर गुड इन राइटिंग, पीपल हु आर गुड इन स्पीकिंग, गिविंग गुड प्रेजेंटेशंस एंड राइटिंग गुड रिपोर्ट्स, they are more confident. They have a stronger belief about their abilities. And people having poor communication skills, people having poor verbal skills, so they lack that self-efficacy in most cases. So what we need to do is, the message is, we need to improve our communication skills. Because दुनिया में जो रिसर्च की गई और एक चीज प्रूव की गई कि the biggest problem of every organization in the world is communication. बॉस कह रहा है कि जी my communication is okay, there is a problem with your communication. Subordinate कह रहा है कि my communication is good, there is some problem with your communication. So blame game is going on and everybody is putting responsibility on someone else's shoulder. So what we need to do is, we need to accept the responsibility. You know, and the most important thing we can do here is, why not we do something to improve our communication skills? So people who have strong communication skills, they have strong self-efficacy. Learning obstacles की जब हम बात करते हैं, common philosopher in 2004 discusses obstacles for organizational learning in the public sector. And the first one is resistance to change. Now, सबसे पहले हम जब बात करेंगे change की, तो 3 areas की हम बात करेंगे. The most important area that needs, you know, positive change is the people. And people means attitude and behavior. So in public sector की जब हम बात करते हैं, particularly हम public sector की developing countries में बात करते हैं, तो we need to focus on bringing in positive changes in the attitude and behavior of our employees. Second most important change required is, you know, structure, the rules and regulations, the policies, you know, planning, organizing, leading, controlling, and you know, so organizational hierarchies, the reporting mechanisms, things like that, vertical organizational structures, horizontal organizational structures. So we need to see that we need to make the organizational structure, you know, more friendly and more, you know, flexible in order to make our employees more comfortable. So जब तक हम अपने organizational structure में एक ground reality के मुताबिक positive changes नहीं लेके आएंगे, problem will be there. And then technology. Most important thing is, we need to focus on creating our own technology. We need to move towards inventions. But उसके साथ साथ जो लेटेस्ट टेक्नोलॉजी है उसको अडॉप्ट करना वो भी बहुत ज़रूरी है. सो 3 एरियाज में हम बात करते हैं चेंज की, पीपल, एटीट्यूड, बिहेवियर की, स्ट्रक्चर की, एंड देन टेक्नोलॉजी की. तो इन तीनों एरियाज में जब हम अपनी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में इन तीनों एरियाज पे वर्किंग करते हैं, तो देयर इज अ नेचुरल रेजिस्टेंस टू चेंज कि एम्प्लॉइज दे रेजिस्ट. So how to minimize that resistance to change? कि learning obstacles में एक चीज आती है कि for example जब आप अपने employees को कहते हैं कि they need to go for training, so people they resist because some believe that they don't require training, some believe that I already know everything, and some believe that they don't have time. So there is a natural resistance to change. So how to overcome that? So of course what you need to do is, you need to link rewards with change. You need to communicate the benefits of change to your people, to your employees. You need to negotiate. You need to go for win-win strategy, right? So you need to take corrective measures in order to minimize resistance to change. So that is, you know, if you do this thing, you know, you move towards learning, and if you are unable to, you know, minimize resistance to change, you are moving away from learning. Individual interest. You know, some of the individuals, they have a different interest, some other individuals, they have a different interest. So if individuals or employees, if they do not have any, you know, common interests, like for example, if any particular learning is not giving them any advantage, you know, they lose their interest. So what you need to do is, you need to match the interest of employees with the learning process. And that is the responsibility of the decision makers of any organization, that they need to create a link between the individual interest and the learning. And once they do it, they can see the wonderful results. Blame culture. There are 2 types of people in organizations, proactive and reactive. Now people who always blame others, you know, they are the reactive people. And people who who accept the responsibility, they are the proactive people. So जब एक ब्लेम कल्चर होगा ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में, हर कोई अपनी जिम्मेदारी को एक्सेप्ट करने की बजाय, अपनी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी को एक्सेप्ट करने की बजाय, अपनी वीकनेसेस को एक्सेप्ट करने की बजाय दूसरे के ऊपर डाल देगा, तो डेफिनेटली दिस विल बिकम अ हर्डल टू लर्निंग. नाउ टॉकिंग अबाउट द ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल परफॉर्मेंस. So it is the process of directing and supporting employees to work as effectively and efficiently as possible in line with the needs of the organization according to the philosopher Walters. Now, हम बात करते हैं needs of the organization की, कि what is the vision, what is the mission, what are the goals and objectives of the organization. That is one thing. Now what you need to do is, in order to achieve those vision, mission, objectives of the organization, what you need to do is, you need to align your employees' goals and objectives with the organizational goals and objectives. And in order to do that, what you need to do is, you need to take those measures which will improve the efficiency and effectiveness of your employees. So that's not an easy thing to do. It is really a big challenge to organizations all over the world. So what do we mean by efficiency and effectiveness? Can you differentiate? Okay, efficiency means with minimum input, you try to get the maximum output. And effectiveness means the results, the output. So we need to focus on those type of employees, who are both efficient and effective. And then, of course, we need to align the employees' goals and objectives with the goals and objectives of the organization. So this will lead us towards the attainment of, targets of the organization. Now, continuing our discussion on organizational performance, the higher you climb the ladder in your organization, the less chance you have of getting feedback about your performance. Now, this is, really, one of the most sensitive facts all over the world. कि जो आप अपनी organization में की पोजीशंस पे आप ऊपर जाते हैं, आप जो लाइक टॉप पोजीशंस पे मूव करना शुरू करते हैं, आपको अपनी परफॉर्मेंस के बारे में जो रियल फीडबैक है उसके मिलने के चांसेस उसी हिसाब से कम होना शुरू हो जाते हैं. लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल, जब आप लो लेवल या मिडिल लेवल पे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में काम कर रहे हैं, तो देयर आर मोर चांसेस के डैट के आपको चारों तरफ से अपनी परफॉर्मेंस के बारे में एक फीडबैक मिल रहा है. लेकिन जो आपकी प्रमोशंस होती हैं और अपनी टॉप मैनेजमेंट में आप जब पहुंच जाते हैं और आप मूव कर रहे हैं ऊपर की तरफ, तो जो आप हायरार्की में टॉप की तरफ जा रहे हैं, उसके साथ साथ आपका जो एक रियल फीडबैक है उसके आने के चांसेस कम हो जाते हैं. दिस इज वन ऑफ द फैक्ट्स इन ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस ऑल ओवर द वर्ल्ड. दोज हु कुड most use performance feedback to enhance their performance are often the least likely to get it. Now this finding is also very interesting and very important when we talk about organizational performance, कि जिन लोगों को सबसे ज़्यादा feedback की ज़रूरत है regarding their performance, उन्हीं लोगों को सबसे कम feedback मिलता है. Now, so definitely इसका result क्या होगा कि they will not be able to compete in the market. They will not be able to improve their performance. They will not be able to bring those changes which are required. So here I strongly recommend that कि whatever level you have in the organization, आप किसी भी designation पे हैं, whether you are in the low level management or you are in the middle level management, or if you are even the chief executive officer of an organization, स्ट्रक्चर में इस तरह की चेंजेस लाई जाए कि फीडबैक की अपॉर्चुनिटी जो है वो सबके लिए इक्वल हो, irrespective of their designation or level in the organization. So this is the only way we can set a benchmark in the market. We can set the highest standards in the market, not only in our country, but we can set a benchmark in the world. Now, talking about organizational performance myths, the first myth is executives neither need nor want performance reviews. Now, this is another finding that the top executives ना उनको फीडबैक की ज़रूरत है और ना वो चाहते हैं कि उनको परफॉर्मेंस रिव्यू उनको मिले, ना वो चाहते हैं कि उनकी कोई एवेल्युएशन करे. नाउ दिस इज अ मिथ. नाउ जैसे हमने पहले बात की कि ये वही एग्जीक्यूटिव्स हैं, टॉप मैनेजमेंट के लोग हैं जिनको सबसे ज़्यादा फीडबैक की ज़रूरत है. तो अगर इन लोगों को परफॉर्मेंस एवेल्युएशन इनकी नहीं की जाएगी, इनको इनका फीडबैक परफॉर्मेंस पे नहीं दिया जाएगा, सो दिस कैन बिकम अ बिग ब्लंडर. तो किसी भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के लिए ज़रूरी है कि ना सिर्फ ये कि वो अपने मिडल और लो लेवल मैनेजमेंट का फीडबैक जो है उसको इंश्योर करे, बल्कि इसका साथ साथ ये ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है कि वो टॉप मैनेजमेंट में जो लोग काम कर रहे हैं, सो वेदर दे वांट इट और नॉट, इसको मैंडेटरी किया जाए, उनके जो परफॉर्मेंस रिव्यूज़ हैं उसको एक अपने स्ट्रेटजिक जो रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस हैं उसका पार्ट बनाया जाए. Myth number 2 is a formal review is beneath the dignity of an executives. कुछ टॉप मैनेजमेंट के एग्जीक्यूटिव ये समझते हैं कि अगर उनकी परफॉर्मेंस को एवेल्युएट किया जाएगा तो दिस इज beneath their dignity. इससे उनकी रिस्पेक्ट कम हो जाएगी, उससे उनकी वैल्यू कम हो जाएगी, उससे शायद उनकी नेगेटिव कोई पहलू निकलता है. Now this is again a faulty assumption and this is again a wrong thinking अगर जो executives ऐसे सोचते हैं, क्योंकि this is not beneath the dignity, as we already emphasized again and again that learning and improvement is an ongoing process. So people who think that they are perfect and people who think that they know everything, उसी लम्हे उसी दिन से उनका डिक्लाइन शुरू हो जाता है. So when we know that nobody is perfect in this world, so how these executives they think that they are perfect or it is beneath the dignity कि अगर उनको evaluate किया जाए. Myth number 3 is top level executives are too busy to conduct their appraisals. Now ये भी एक बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग फाइंडिंग है कि जो टॉप एग्जीक्यूटिव्स हैं वो इतने ज़्यादा उनके पास एक्टिविटीज़ हैं करने को, तो उनके पास टाइम ही नहीं है कि परफॉर्मेंस रिव्यूज में वो जाएं अपने. सो आई स्ट्रांगली हियर रेकमेंड दैट कि जितने भी बिजी हों, आई थिंक कि जितनी भी एक्टिविटीज़ वो परफॉर्म कर रहे हैं उनका अपना जो परफॉर्मेंस रिव्यू है वो मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट एक्टिविटी है. तो अगर आप अपनी मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट एक्टिविटी को आप सेक्रीफाइस करेंगे और बाकी एक्टिविटीज पे आप फोकस करेंगे, तो यहाँ पे मैं जरूर ऐड अप करना चाहूंगा कि इफ यू कीप ऑन डूइंग सेम थिंग्स एवरी डे, यू विल कीप ऑन गेटिंग सेम रिजल्ट्स एवरी टाइम. सो हाउ दिस इज पॉसिबल दैट if you keep on doing same things every day, how this is possible that you bring positive results, better results for your organization? ये तो तभी मुमकिन है when you bring improvements in your performance. और आपकी परफॉर्मेंस में इम्प्रूवमेंट जो है वो परफॉर्मेंस रिव्यू से आ सकती है, परफॉर्मेंस अप्रेजल से आ सकती है, उस फीडबैक से आ सकती है जो कि आपके इर्द गिर्द जो लोग काम कर रहे हैं, आपके जो क्लाइंट्स हैं, जिन लोगों के साथ आपका एक कॉरेस्पॉन्डेंस है, जिन लोगों के साथ आपका ऑफिशियल रिलेशंस हैं, वो आपको एक फीडबैक दे रहे हैं आपके बारे में. सो इसको किसी सूरत में इग्नोर नहीं किया जा सकता, एंड दिस इज द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट एक्टिविटी. Myth number 4 is results are the only basis for assessing executive performance. For example, some of the chief executives or the top management executives, they believe that since we are achieving our goals and objectives, since we are achieving our targets, तो जब हम अपने टारगेट्स अचीव कर रहे हैं तो फिर हमें किसी किस्म के परफॉर्मेंस रिव्यू की जरूरत नहीं है, क्योंकि टारगेट अचीवमेंट इज इटसेल्फ अ परफॉर्मेंस रिव्यू. अगेन दिस इज अ बिग ब्लंडर. टारगेट अचीवमेंट इज समथिंग एल्स एंड परफॉर्मेंस रिव्यू इज समथिंग एल्स. यस, performance has a strong impact on target achievement, but in order to be a market leader, in order to set the most sustainable competitive advantage. It is an ongoing activity. So nothing can ensure you that if you are the market leader, you will remain as a market leader till Qiyamah. How this is possible? So if you want to maintain your best position in the market, or if you want to become a leader in the market, your performance review is a must. Now, talking about the organizational performance, consider the following situations. The athlete searching for a coach who really understands him. The student waiting to see his guidance counselor at university. The worker who has just begun working for a new boss. So what do these above three situations have in common? The answer is the need to manage performance effectively. Now, learning versus rejection of new ideas. Now let's have a close look at this chair. I'm also sitting on a chair like this. So जिस person ने ये chair create की for the very first time in the world, उसकी अपनी ये thinking थी जब उसने ये chair create की कि this is the world's ugliest chair, कि ये दुनिया की सबसे बदसूरत तरीन चेयर है, जिसने ये चेयर फॉर द वेरी फर्स्ट टाइम क्रिएट की दुनिया में। और उसका अपना ये कहना था कि इस चेयर की जो सेल है या इस चेयर की जो एक पॉपुलैरिटी है वो मुमकिन नहीं है। बट नाउ यू सी, I believe that you may also be using this chair. I use this chair in my office as well. I'm using a chair like this here as well. So this is one of the most comfortable chairs in the world these days. So learning versus rejection of new ideas, के new ideas के ऊपर हम बात करने जा रहे हैं कि सम टाइम जिन लोगों ने जो चीजें इन्वेंट की उनकी अपनी फॉल्टी एजम्पशंस क्या थी और बाद में वक्त ने क्या प्रूव किया। सो कंटिन्यूइंग आवर डिस्कशन ऑन लर्निंग वर्सेस रिजेक्शन ऑफ न्यू आइडियाज, philosopher Gladwell believes that our preferences are quite unstable, especially when we are first introduced to something new. This is because we need time to learn about the new object or idea. People prefer the familiar over the unfamiliar. कि जिस चीज से आप वाकिफ हैं, जिस चीज से आप फेमिलियर हैं, यू प्रेफर दैट। और होता क्या है कि हमारी जो प्रेफरेंसेस हैं दे आर क्वाइट अनस्टेबल, और जब हमें फर्स्ट टाइम हम किसी चीज को देखते हैं तो वो हमारी जो उसके बारे में हम गेस वर्क करना शुरू कर देते हैं, एंड वी नीड टू लर्न अबाउट दैट न्यू आइडिया. We also tend to make up stories by picking up clues when we are introduced to something new. जब हम किसी चीज को फॉर द वेरी फर्स्ट टाइम देखते हैं तो उसके बारे में हम स्टोरीज क्रिएट करते हैं, उसके बारे में हम गेस वर्क करते हैं, उसके बारे में हम कोई कोई क्लू या कोई टिप या कोई चीज किसी ना किसी चीज को बुनियाद बनाकर हम उसके बारे में अपनी एक राय देते हैं. So talking about the reframe for the holistic, generally heart patients don't follow the doctor's instructions even facing a life or death situation. Thus, how can we expect leaders to change people? Now this is really a very interesting situation, a big challenge to leaders. कि एक तरफ तो हम देखते हैं कि जो हार्ट पेशेंट्स हैं वो अपने डॉक्टर्स की इंस्ट्रक्शंस को फॉलो नहीं कर रहे और उस इंस्ट्रक्शंस को फॉलो ना करने की सूरत में उनकी डेथ भी हो सकती है. तो फिर ऑन दी अदर साइड हम अपने लीडर्स जो हैं उनसे कैसे एक्सपेक्ट कर सकते हैं कि वो लोगों को चेंज कर लेंगे जिनको लाइफ एंड डेथ सिचुएशन वो फेस नहीं कर रहे. डॉक्टर ऑर्निश proved that through a holistic program that includes going after their feelings by having them attend a twice weekly support group sessions led by a psychologist. A study showed that after 3 years, 77% of the patients had stuck with their lifestyle changes and avoided the surgery. Now, very interesting. Facing death for most people is much too frightening to think about. Thus, patients often go into denial, whereas making daily life more enjoyable is a powerful motivator. Now, very interesting thing when we talk about reframe for the holistic. Now, Dr. Ornish, this experiment proved really successful. So what we need to do, we need to focus on the attitude and behavior of the people who are working in our organization, number one thing. And we need to, show them the positive side of the story. We need to show them the big picture. We need to tell them that what are the opportunities, what are the growth opportunities, what are the, benefits, rewards, financial, non-financial rewards are on the way if they perform the best. So with the help of positive motivation, we can do, wonders for our organization. But if we, give them negative motivation, if we punish them, if we give them threats, if we impose things on them, they will lose their motivation and that will result in poor performance. So what do we learn from this reframe for the holistic? We need to focus on the positive side. We need to focus on the positive motivation. Flow rather than script. Give employees flexibility in their work so that the situation is allowed to design itself, rather than just becoming a carbon copy. Very interesting. I always believe that if students, they only do what the teacher tell them to do, they only learn what the teacher tell them to learn, so they're just becoming a carbon copy. So instead of becoming a carbon copy, why not you learn from your teachers and try to give your own unique, genuine input. Why not? So we need to move forward. Just like explaining the existing concepts again and again, what we need to do is we need to add in the existing body of knowledge. And that is only possible if we stop becoming carbon copies of each other. Like for example, in giving examples from organizations, if you just follow your boss and if you just follow your colleagues and you are not bringing in any newness in your working methods, how this will improve the situation, how you are able to become a market leader. So in order to do the best, you need to unlock your potential, right? And this is only possible that you need to start giving your own genuine input. Now talking about velocity and viscosity. Velocity is the speed with which knowledge moves through an organization. This is called velocity. And viscosity is the richness or thickness of the knowledge transferred. So knowledge requires viscosity, which uses rich sources. This is why knowledge can be so hard to come by at times. So organizational performance improves by focusing on learning, reframing flowing and viscosity as a whole. Now talking about the performance gap, when we look at the actual performance and then we look at the desired performance. So there is a performance gap between the actual performance and desired performance. So how we identify that gap? With the help of questionnaires, interviews, observations, so we can identify that gap and then we can take corrective measures. What do we mean by underperformance of employees? Consistently failing to deliver key aspects of the role. कि जो employee के जो key responsibilities हैं उसको वो like consistently उसको deliver नहीं कर पा रहा अगर एक employee, तो that is called underperformance. Now let's look at those reasons why managers sometimes do not address problems. Managers hope the problem might go away by itself. कुछ managers ये सोचते हैं कि जिस तरह problem आती है उसी तरह वापस चली जाती है. Lack of confidence, some managers they have lack of confidence, they do not have that confidence कि जी how to manage this performance issue. Discomfort with the role of manager. Some of the managers they are they are not comfortable, they are not happy with the role, and they feel uncomfortable. A fear that if the problem is highlighted, more problems might come up. They have a fear. If they accept, if they acknowledge that okay now they are facing a problem, तो वो employees को कहेंगे कि okay fine, I can realize and I know that you have a problem. तो जब आप एक problem की बात करेंगे तो other problems might come up. A fear of confrontation. ये वो managers हैं जो they have a fear कि अगर हमने किसी की problem identify की, poor performers को अगर हमने identify किया तो आपस में confrontation होने के chances हैं. Sometimes they worry that working relationships might be damaged. Managers they feel कि जी अगर हमने problem को identify किया तो ये ना हो कि working relationships damage हो जाएं. Fear of being challenged. And then lack of time, employees उनके managers के पास time ही नहीं है problems को address करने का. Not knowing where to start. Unclear whose role it is to address performance issues, and then lack of understanding that a performance issue exists. ये ऐसे managers हैं जिनको पता ही नहीं है कि they have a problem or not, और उनको poor performance के बारे में कोई उनको idea नहीं है. Lack of support. Managers they want to address problems, लेकिन problem ये है कि they do not have the support of top management. Now possible causes of underperformance like lack of training or support, poor supervision, like there is some problem with the tools, equipments, unclear instructions हो सकती हैं, lack of understanding of role है, unrealistic targets हैं, ill health हो सकती है, possible causes of underperformance, then personal problems हो सकती हैं, लोगों की domestic problems हो सकती हैं, relationships at work are difficult, and sometimes जो work overload, stress या high resistance to change या in the wrong job. कुछ लोग कहते हैं कि जी I'm not in the right job. So these are some of the possible causes of underperformance. Now what is the procedure for managing poor performance legally? First of all, you need to investigate. You need to thoroughly investigate that what really happened. Informal discussion करेंगे आप employees के साथ, and then you go for formal discussions. Time to improve. जो poor performers हैं उनको improvement आप time देंगे कि okay fine, I give you more time for improvement. Monitoring. Provide training, support and coaching. This is really very important. हो सकता है कि employee जो है वो काम करना चाहता है but he or she is unable to do because उसके पास training नहीं है, support नहीं है, coaching नहीं है. Provide those things to him or her. Consideration of alternative action before dismissal. Dismissal should be the last choice. Do everything you can to improve the performance of your employees. क्योंकि जब आप लोगों को dismiss करना शुरू करेंगे तो definitely that will have a negative इफेक्ट ऑन दी सर्वाइवर्स, जो एम्प्लॉयज़ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में होंगे रिमेनिंग, उनके ऊपर एक नेगेटिव इम्पैक्ट है। फिर मार्केट में एक नेगेटिव मैसेज जाएगा कि यू आर ट्रीटिंग योर एम्प्लॉयज़ अनफेयरली, so that will damage your market repute as well. How to plan a difficult conversation with your employees who are showing poor performance, the desired outcome that you want, how to start the meeting, this is really very important. Content of conversation को आप पहले से रेडी करेंगे, मैनेजिंग वन सेल्फ, अपने आप को कंट्रोल में रखेंगे, यू नेवर लूज योर टेम्पर, and then dealing with conflict, and you should know how to deal with the conflicting situations. So these are the guidelines, these are the planning के tips के how to deal with the difficult conversation with your poor performance in your organization. And finally, improved organizational learning or organizational performance के लिए these are the final recommendations कि जब हम बात करते हैं डेवलपमेंट प्लानिंग की, एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन की, तो ऑफ कोर्स वी नीड टू मूव टुवर्ड्स इम्प्रूव्ड ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल लर्निंग एंड इम्प्रूव्ड ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल परफॉर्मेंस। सबसे पहले सेंस ऑफ ओनरशिप, so we need to develop strong sense of ownership among employees towards our organization. And how this is possible? You need to involve them in decision making, you need to delegate, you need to trust your employees. Supportive environment, very important. You can only motivate your employees if you give them the supportive environment, you facilitate them. So there should be high coordination, high cooperation and flexibility. Involve employees, involve employees in decision making, respect their feedback, respect their feelings, never hurt or damage their integrity, ego, things like that. I hope that कि आज के लेक्चर से आपने बहुत लर्न किया होगा, and inshallah see you all in the next lecture. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Khuda Hafiz.